Hello everybody, Chad Ferguson here, learntocatchcatfish.com, and I'm going to talk to you a little bit today about the Thermic Line and the effects that it has on catfishing. I started writing an article on the Learn to Catch Catfish website about the Thermic Line, and I found that really, there's a lot more information that I needed to cover than I was willing to write, and I thought that the best way to explain this would be to put a video up. So, as I say in all of my videos that I post, if you're watching this on YouTube or a video sharing site, make sure that you go to learntocatchcatfish.com, because the videos that I post on the internet are a very small portion of the internet that's posted on learntocatchcatfish.com to help you learn how to catch more and bigger catfish. So today, again, we're going to talk about Thermic Line, what it is, what causes it, and how it affects the catfish. So there's a really long, drawn-out scientific explanation for what the Thermic Line is and what causes it. And I'm going to kind of take all that information and summarize it into a little brief video here that'll give you all the information that you need to understand how it's going to affect your catfishing in the warmer months. So the first thing I'm going to go over is talk about the Thermic Line and when it develops. And here in Texas where I live, generally we start to see a Thermic Line anywhere from mid to late May into early June. It all depends on the weather and how hot it gets and how quickly it gets hot. And generally that time of year I'm not fishing water that's that deep, so I don't pay a whole lot of attention to it generally until the summertime. But usually you can consider when the water gets to be about 73 to 75 degrees, then you're going to start to see the Thermic Line sit in on a lake. I've seen it set in as low as about 72, 73 degrees, and I've seen where I really haven't been able to start seeing the effects of a Thermic Line until about 78 degrees. It really just kind of varies from lake to lake, but generally what you're looking at is when you come out of the late spring period and into the summer period when the water gets a lot warmer, you get a period there for a couple of weeks where the fishing oftentimes gets generally pretty tough. And then what you will see if you go out into the deeper water is a Thermic Line that'll begin to set in. So I'm going to use this as the lake bottom. A Thermic Line is generally going to sit in on lakes and reservoirs. It's not going to sit in a river where you have constant moving water. Okay, so the first thing I'm going to talk about is what the Thermic Line is. And I'm going to use this here at the bottom of the lake. And this as the surface of the lake or reservoir, the water line. Well, what happens when it starts to warm up, I'm going to draw a sun here. I'll even put a little smiley face on it for you there. Well, the sun begins to shine and it gets hot in the warmer weather, and what it does is it warms up this upper level of the water. And what happens is the surface temperature of the water gets considerably warmer than the water that's down deeper. Well, what happens is you have a layer of water that sits in here, we're going to go 0 to 12 foot. And then we're going to go right here and we're going to go 12 to 22 foot. And this right here is going to be 23 foot and deeper. Okay? So when the sun starts to shine down, it begins to heat up the surface temperature of the water. This water up here gets considerably warmer than this water down here. And these depths right here, again, this is a general rule. It's not an exact science, but right here at 12 foot, and then again at about 22 to 23 foot, you're going to have a drastic temperature change in the water. And it can drop as much as 10 degrees when you hit these points. And the best way that I have been able to ever explain this to anybody is if you've ever been swimming in a lake and you dive into the lake and you swim down real deep, you get to a point where you hit that water and you think, oh man, it just got really cold down there. Well, that's when you've hit this first mark here. And that water drops about 10 degrees here at this level. Then you go down another 10 feet or so. It could be a little bit more, it could be a little bit less. And that water is going to drop another 10 degrees or so. So now, if you have a surface temperature of, let's say, 88 degrees, right here, then you drop down at this 0 to 12 foot mark, you have a water temperature of 78 degrees here. Then you hit this mark, you have a water temperature of 68 degrees here. So you could have a 20-degree difference in the water temperature from 88 degrees to 68 degrees. So what happens is, because of that difference in water temperature, is the lake develops a thermocline.